The story of Pygmalion and Galatea is a pretty popular one in art history, and it's easy to understand why. A mythological story about an artist falling in love with his own creation is bound to be reproduced by artists. Very quickly in Ovid's Metamorphoses, Pygmalion was a sculptor from Cyprus. He was misogynistic, he hated women to the point where he refused to date one because he disliked them so much. He then sculpted Galatea. He fell in love with it, or her, and prayed to the goddess Aphrodite to bring it to life, which she did. Pygmalion and Galatea would live happily ever after. Now, you may understand how this makes for great works of art. For example, look at Jean Raoult's depiction of it. Aphrodite, floating on a cloud, is seen touching Galatea's head, giving life and colors to the statue. Her limbs are still made out of marble, but the transition between life and lifelessness smoothens across her body. Of course, she's surrounded by flying cherubs, doves kissing, and all that very extravagant symbolism, but for this video, what's important to note is Pygmalion's reaction. He's on the floor in disbelief, and this disbelief is often what's depicted in these paintings, and if it isn't disbelief, then there's always some kind of separation between the artist and his art. Well, not always. Here's how Jean-Léon Gérôme depicted the myth. If you're thinking that Jean-Léon Gérôme is a familiar name, it's because I made a video about a painting of his not too long ago on the execution of Marshal Ney. This painting couldn't be more different, which shows only a glimpse of Gérôme's artistic versatility. We see Pygmalion in his studio, surrounded by his other works. Above him floats a cherub, presumably giving life to Galatea. She's the one stealing the show. Her upper body is fully contorted towards her lover. Her right arm wraps around his neck. Her left hand grabs his wrist. Her posture is a bit odd as only her upper body turns towards the artist, but it's explained by her legs, which are still marble. It's a beautiful depiction, showing that both lovers couldn't wait for her full transformation to be over. They embrace as soon as it is possible. Pygmalion leans forward on the tip of his toes on a wooden box, his hands firmly grabbing his soon-to-be wife. Unlike in many depictions of Pygmalion and Galatea, Gérôme depicted the sheer passion lived by the artist, the obsession he has for his own creation. And this obsessive passion, which I believe Gérôme depicts masterfully, is one which Gérôme himself felt. It's one which Gérôme communicates as a personal experience. He didn't sign his name in the corner of the painting, the traditional location for any artist's signature. Gérôme carved his name at the base of the statue. He's identifying with Pygmalion. He sees and identifies himself as a man who's in love with his work, in love with his art, a man who's completely obsessed with it. And Gérôme's obsession for his art and for this subject in particular cannot be doubted. He painted this exact scene many times, for example here where we see the couple kissing from the front. He also sculpted the same exact scene. All of it is in marble, from Galatea's lower and upper body to Pygmalion himself. He would also later paint himself sculpting twice, both times with the different versions of his Pygmalion and Galatea paintings hanging on a wall in the background. Gérôme identified himself with Pygmalion's situation and created masterpieces out of this. But nonetheless, only one of these actually stand out. The marble statue doesn't really depict Galatea's transformation, nor the contrast between flesh and stone. The front-facing painting is great, sure, but Pygmalion being in front of his creation becomes the subject. However, seeing a nude woman standing, her feet in stone, leaning towards her lover as her body turns into flesh, there lies the true beauty of this painting. Gérôme, although he identified with Pygmalion, still puts Galatea in the foreground, still puts his creation above himself. He wants to show his creation before showing himself. He wants to show his true love. And what can be a better gesture of love towards your art than not only placing it above yourself, but depicting yourself loving it? That's what Gérôme did, and honestly, yes, the painting is beautiful. But the passion with which this painting was created is absolutely unmatched. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you Axel, Mike Wex, Roman Brendel, X Towns, and all my other patrons for supporting the channel. If you also want to help out, leave a like, subscribe, and check out patreon.com/thecanvas. Thank you.